Welcome back. I'm not sure exactly what kind of video it's going to be tonight. We've got some things as normal that we're waiting on the 55. We did order some seats. He does have at least one set of brackets, it looks like. I bet if we look around we can find the other, but I don't know that the seats are going to position the same as the rallies. We did go with the touring seat. You know, he really liked that one. So I don't know if this is what we're working on. I know there's an awful lot of 78 Camaro stuff sitting out, so that might be the direction we're going. So welcome back to the videos. Let's find out what we're working on. One of the things that I want to look at tonight is the breather from Moroso finally came. See, it's got a little petcock for a drain. Comes with a little filter, a really nice bracket, and honestly, it's just a tank with some fittings and a Brillo pad in there. Kind of something we had talked about and thought it might be. So this is actually going to be the air inlet for the crankcase. So this is going to mount hopefully somewhere in here-ish, you know, depending on the clearance in the fender. And then one line will go to that valve cover and one line will go to the other valve cover. So then what happens is, as the crankcase needs makeup air, then it comes through this filter. Then if it's pushing air, any oil gets trapped in here. So that's definitely a good thing. What I think is actually going to be a 78 Camaro video. We are working on trying to remember how all this went together and what we did with the screws. Something you never think about, but when you apply a thick paint like that, you do got to come back and deburr the holes. This shaft definitely does not fit right now, and we don't want it to be that tight, and a deburring tool does a pretty good job of it. And a little mild persuasion is helping, but we're almost there. Gotta get her in there nice and straight. A lot more tapping and careful than I would have expected. We do finally have that in. So now just got to get some hardware and then we'll see if it opens and closes. Well, this screw's a different size than these two, but let's see what happens here. So you can see we've got it open to that path, spinning that way. Then when it goes and closes that path, it goes that way. What's it mean? Don't know. It can also be blocked and then everything goes in bypass. So I'm sure that's 3 different modes for some reason. And then we're working on these clips, figuring that out because no one has instructions on that. And we just wanted to check this. So of course this hole is way too small. So luckily we have this fancy cover. But we're gonna have to open that up a little bit. Not happy about it, but that hole's gotta get a little bigger. So getting ready to do that so we can figure out how far this wall needs to actually move for these tubes to line up so we can get on these pins, because we have learned something we didn't know. On a big block, this tray would be over ½ inch. So we'll see what we can do. Okay, I enlarged that hole so that that fits, and honestly, it just means I just gotta have this all the way over. It is under a little stress. So I think I only got to move that over about 1/4 inch. I bet I can just bend metal to get that. Okay. Took a dolly and stuck in here. Actually, it wasn't a real dolly. It was a block of wood. Kind of pounded that shape out a little bit. Had to modify the clip just a little. And of course, remember to put the seal down in there. And I think that'll actually line up. So let's go ahead and grab that thing that's sharp, because why wouldn't I? Okay. Let's get left-handed here. Okay, now it's just about getting on that guy. And that doesn't look too bad. Looks like I probably want to slide the core up a little bit, but I'm happy with the offset. And just like that, that looks pretty good. Now that gasket would go there, and then this goes over the gasket. You can see that just screws down to keep that sealed. I don't know how you beat that. That's going to work out really nice. At this point, this is actually starting to look like something. Flappies work. Blower resistor has been found. Heater core is installed. And the big block configuration for a 69 Camaro, even though this is a 78, you know, that's the way we're doing it, because the big block, let's move those way over out of the way. We found our galvanized plate and got that installed. So that's actually a heater core box, all rebuilt, ready to go. Looks pretty nice. You can tell when you're in the closed position here. So I'm going to guess that's heat. I bet this direction is fresh air. There. And we've got that duct on there as well, because we found a picture showing that we already had it on when it came out of the car. So it means we don't have to try to put that on in the car. So that always helps. Time to tell the people what the next little challenge is. He went ahead and ground the Camaro words off that were embossed in here, and he's got some stud mount ones that he wants to use. So we're gonna have to get this all apart, figure this out, figure out exactly where we want the 3 holes to cover as much of that as possible, and then he knows someone who can replicate the texture and re-dye this, he claims. So I'm going to try to hide as much of that as I can, just to make it as the best chance of success as possible. But yeah, he wants a nice looking logo. Okay, so that came off pretty easy. That's just the 8 screws. So getting ready to pull that, but I figured I'd get a good video of where that went. And then he's up looking for the key, because I've never seen a GM lock that you could take apart without the key. So got a feeling it's probably just an insert key twist backwards kind of thing, but we'll find out. How hard can it be? Well, we played around. There's a little tab, you pop it in, and we just weren't willing to grab this with pliers and yank on it. So we're gonna leave that for now. We'll let Josh figure that out. I don't want to scratch this thing up. So I'm back to this. You'll note those aren't in line. So I took a piece of card here, figured out where my holes are. Now the next thing I want to do is figure out when this is in line, place it up there, and then I can mark my holes. So we've got it so that we have 1 unit to the top, 1 unit to the top. These were the 2 that were flat. It covers the most of what was already there. Now it's time to go ahead and mark it. Drilled some holes. That looks clean. What are the odds of it lining up? Oh, actually pretty good. I don't know why I was surprised by that. So that's how that'll look. Just a little bit more custom. Took a break from the Camaro to fix this slide. So now it slides. Unfortunately, somebody leaned on a cabinet. Okay. So what do we got here? Digitails 78 to 81. Okay, LED panel. Oh, those little light modules. Okay. Oh, boy, that doesn't look very fun. Well, apparently that's the next thing. Okay, we're starting to pull this Digitails kit out. And the first thing you notice is these are all the same, well, now it's stuck, module. They're just, there's a little pick on here. I can't read what he is. He looks like a 16F877. So anyway, he's got a little pick micro, and each one of them is programmed for where it can run. So then they just take the Sharpie and say, you know, I got 2 drivers left and right, and now I got passengers left and right. They're set to sequential, which is fine. But trying to read their instructions, and they're trying to show you things, and you know, this is a professional company, and instead they just, obviously an inkjet running out of ink, and you know, pretty disappointed in the quality of these instructions. I guess I'm gonna have to pull up their website and see if I can actually see these pictures. I did pull it up because you'd have never known looking at that that my measurements were out here. So in line with the sockets, now I've got my 4 holes, and I guess I'll put in my brackets, find the included hardware. Okay, so we've got our little brackets installed here with our plastic screws and our Scotch tape. So we'll see how this goes. That's about all we can do there until we find out about those grommets that it's talking about using that definitely make good sense to us. So we're just going to set those guys out of the way for right now. We're not going to stick them down or glue them yet, because they get some silicone and then the other side of that foam sticker. And that's all that holds them in. So must be enough. So he's going to call tomorrow and find out about those grommets and see if that's just something they discontinued and didn't take out of the instructions, or if they forgot them. Well, at another point, I guess we'll assemble some hinges. But that's probably wrapping it up for the 78 today. Even though it's not actually here, the car itself is actually out being sandblasted. But yeah, here's the quarters that came off. You can see this is what we call Minnesota. You know, a little bit of rust. Oh, and here was the tail panel. He spent an awful lot of time getting all that out. You can see, let's find the spot welds, find the spot welds. So he's starting to build up the new one. Looking pretty nice. So it's always a little bit of working behind the scenes here. Anyway, thanks for watching. ShopRex says, drink responsibly.